Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of In Lay Terms. I always say we have a very special guest, but this time we actually do have a very special guest. It's the leader of the People's Party of Canada, my former party leader when I ran in the April election, Mr. Maxime Bernier. Welcome, Max.
Thank you, Payman. I'm very pleased to be with you.
I'm glad you carved out some time from your busy day. And we also have another PPC candidate, Mr. Brian Everaert. Brian, how are you?
Very good. Thanks for doing the stream, Payman.
No, I'm glad to do it. Let's jump right into it. I know Mr. Bernier has to get going soon. We only got 30 minutes. Max, everybody kind of heard about the news that broke. There was another floor crossing. Now we have a disastrous Liberal Party majority government. Explain this nonsense to Canadians. What is going on in their country?
Yeah, actually, it's very sad. Carney is trying to have a majority by speaking with other MPs, mostly the conservative one, and telling them that they may have, I don't know, a new position in his government later. So, but that is showing me that the conservatives or the liberals, it's about the same. I call them the LibCon party or the Uni party. It's easy for, like today, we have Mrs. Gladu who decided to go on the other side and cross the floor. That's, part of our parliamentary system. But usually when you're doing that, it's very difficult for a member of parliament to be reelected. And, when she did that today, actually, she did not have any consultation with people who voted for her. People voted for real conservative values. And now you have a lady that decided to say goodbye to the people who elected her. And we have Brian with us today, who was fighting during the last election for us, for the PPC, real ideas, bold reforms. And, these people who voted conservatives, actually what happened today, she's telling them, you voted for me, but forget it, forget your ideas, forget your values. I won't follow that. I will do what I want to do for my own future. And like that, when you have a majority government with people who are crossing the floor, for me, that's illegitimate government, that illegitimate majority government. And that's what's happening today.
Max, just one more follow-up question. Again, I want to get in the headspace of this MP that crossed the floor. To me, you're a man who had enough integrity that when you ran for the Conservative Party in 2015, you would have never thought of just willy-nilly crossing to the opposition party. What has changed? What's going through her mind? Is she just fixated on her pension? Do people not have morals anymore?
Yeah, I believe, if you look, Payman, at the history in our country, all the people, all the members of parliament who decided to cross the floor after an election to go to another political party, historically, nobody were able to be elected after that. So I think that for her, after 10 years, she was elected in 2015. So after 10 years, and she said, oh, maybe I'll be again in the opposition. She wanted to be in government. She wanted to be in government for herself, to have a new position, a bigger salary. And with a bigger salary, she will have also a bigger pension after this term. So I believe that she said, I don't want to be reelected, because she may know that it's very difficult. Like I said, history, if you look back at the history, all these MPs were not able to be elected. So she's doing that for herself. She's looking at her own, career. She's not fighting for her citizen anymore.
No, great answer. Thank you. And I should have thought of that. She wants to get into government for the prestige. Brian, what are your thoughts? Are you excited about this floor crossing? Are you disappointed? What are your thoughts?
Payman, I can honestly tell you today the amount of messages that I've got over my messenger and my phone. Like, I've been at work, I've had to turn it off because people they're upset and they're disappointed. And I really do feel bad for the people in Sarnia, Lambton, Bkejwanong, because they got told, like Max said, that they were going to expect somebody who's a true blue conservative. And I'm a conservative myself, but I'm not the libcon type. And I've been vocal. I've been with the party as a founding member. I've been in 3 federal elections. In fact, 2021, I got 11% of the vote. And last election, they went to the States and tried the Donald Trump stuff. I just feel bad for the people in my riding that they got hoodwinked the way they did. And it cuts my guts, to be quite honest with you, how many times I heard about, I don't want to split a vote. Well, today, the true colors of what the CPC is come out. And for me, this is not just about Marilyn. This is about the party itself. November 7th, they sold us out. They propped up Mark Carney. We watched them do it. They preserved C9. And I made the prediction, that's the end of the CPC for any sort of integrity. At that point, watching them with C4 in their convention, not wanting to amend it. These people claim to be conservatives, but they're in a big uni party. And for the people of Sarnia, Lambton, Bkejwanong, I've stuck around and I've done it proudly, because I knew this day was going to come. And I knew it was going to come. And the fact of the matter is I have a job. I can retire in 2 years with a good pension. I don't give a rat's behind about the pension. What I care about is the future for my nephew and the people of Sarnia, Lambton. And we're in a gas and oil refinery town. And I watched Marilyn go down to a protest against fossil fuels. And right then and there, like the people I work with, their livelihoods depend on having somebody up in Ottawa to represent them and to do it right. And today they got stabbed in the back. And that's how I feel. I'm not ecstatic at all. I'm severely disappointed in the system, because of what they did. They took my leader out of the national debates in the last election because they were too scared to talk about the COVID money and everything else. And they clobbered us, the media and the CPC. They're not conservatives, folks. They are not. We cannot trust them anymore. And like I said before to some people earlier today, they're going to try to ram somebody into her spot. There'll be some cookie cutter conservative, big name in the community or whatever it may be, and they'll do the same thing to you. There is no split vote when you're not comparing apples to apples. And the CPC is not a conservative party. Their candidates and MPs are not conservative. They go any way the wind blows. And, quite frankly, it's a disappointment for me today, because I've worked hard to try to get the votes and convince them. And that big blue machine has put their thumb on me multiple times. Today, maybe people are going to understand what it's really about. And one more thing, Payman, is I'd love to see Sarnia, Lambton, Bkejwanong lead the country. We have to break through. What better place than in southwestern Ontario, in a little spot where we're surrounded with oil and gas refineries, our natural resources, to prop up and push forward through with a PPCMP when we do get to another election. And that's all it's going to take, is for people to get on. It's going to be a bandwagon thing, but people have to have the courage to get rid of the propaganda and pay attention to what they're doing, not what they say they are going to do. And everybody out in Sarnia, Lambton watching, and I know you are, we're in it. We're not going anywhere. Maxime Bernier said, we'll be here when you're ready. And if this doesn't make people ready, I don't know what will.
Well, we'll see what happens. Tony says he put out a lawn sign today, so you never know. People might be they might come to you and support
Tony.
you.
And if I may say, if I may say, Brian, that will be a great opportunity for you at the next election. People will remember what she did, and the more it's happening, and what the conservatives are fighting for, it will be difficult for them to vote again for a conservative candidate. You show them that you were always there. You started with us in 2019, and at every election fighting for your people with real conservative values. And, they know that if they vote conservative, they may have the same kind of MP that, Marilyn was, not fighting for them. And when the time is there for her to take a new opportunity, personal opportunity, she did it, and I believe that you will always be there for your people. So let's wait and see when that election will come in 2 or 3 years. That will be an opportunity, and I'll be with you. I'll campaign with you, and I remember, we will tell the truth to your people, and I believe that we'll be able to have real conservative that will come on our board, on our side.
Yeah,
Max,
Max, and go ahead, Payman. Sorry.
I was going to actually ask a Max about Max a question about the split the vote narrative in the last April election. They were relentless with that. They said a vote for the PPC is a split vote. Do you think that with all of these floor crossings, will the people wake up and say, hold on, it was not splitting the vote that brought us here because we voted for the lesser of two evils, and they're just crossing the floor?
Yeah, people will look at it, and then the next election, they will go ahead again with their slogan, don't vote People's Party, you'll split the vote. But like Brian said, I like to say that, if you have two apples and you split the apple, you'll have half a piece of an apple on each side. But if you look at our programs, our program is very different than the conservative on a lot of issues. So, and the most important issues, starting with immigration, the equalization formula, climate change, we don't believe in that. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. There's a lot of differences between us and the Conservative Party of Canada. So all these people who voted for the Conservative at the last election because they were afraid to split the vote, now they can see that what's happening is between the Conservative and the Liberals, they can go on one side or the others. It's the same. So it will be more difficult to go back with that slogan, don't vote for the People's Party because you split the vote. Actually, I will tell them, vote in line with your values. If you want to have these bold changes, you'll have more chances to have what you want if you vote for what you believe. And actually, we have a nice proof today with what happened in your writing, Brian.
Brian, sort of the same question to you. Do you think that we've finally seen the death of this vote split assault?
I think the ones who are in tune with politics and who are critical thinkers, I think that this may be a last straw for them in my riding, because I know how close I am actually to the conservative voters. I'm extremely close to them. I have people that are my friends that they've gotten back in behind me, and they were so worried about the Liberal majority that they have told me, Brian, we can't. We know you guys are the right way, but you're not going to get there. And I told them in the last election and even in 2021, I said, you guys understand that they're not conservative. They're not. And I said, and one day you'll know. And I think, Payman, there's enough people in my riding right now, and with the mayoral election coming up, Bill Dennis is running, and Bill is a firecracker who speaks the truth. He's always been decent to me. He's the only counselor that ever came down to my campaign headquarters. He's running for mayor, and Bill has supported me over time. And people are recognizing Bill's outspokenness right now while there's a new municipal election. And Bill's got a lot of the same principles that the PPC has. And he's upset today, and people are following him. And I think that they're going to get through it, and I think they're going to understand that you're not splitting a vote. Every time people vote, they're splitting it from something. You have to understand that unless we do something different for Canada, we're going to continue to fall. We're going to continue to get worse. And it only takes one voice to bring on the snowball effect. And I'm hoping, Payman, that the lesson is learned in Sarnia Lambton. Like I said, I feel bad for the people in my riding because I know they got hoodwinked. And I don't really anticipate the split the vote thing working for the CPC in the next election, at least in Sarnia Lambton.
Yeah, let's hope not. Go ahead, Max.
And Payman, if I may add, if you don't share if you're a conservative MP and you don't share the values of your party anymore, the best thing to do is to resign and, be maybe at the next election, try to be elected as an independent or in another political party. I will give you an example. My dad in 1984 was elected as a conservative under Brian Mulroney. He was re-elected in 1988 as a conservative under Brian Mulroney. In 1993, Kim Campbell was elected the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. And Kim Campbell said to my dad, I won't sign your paper. I don't want you to run for the Conservative Party of Canada. So my dad said, okay, I will run as an independent. And my dad was a real conservative and he decided to run as an independent. And he was elected as an independent in both. And who was elected as a conservative? Only Jean Charest and another MP from Eastern Canada. There were only two conservative MPs after the election in 1993, and my dad as an independent. And I remember that Jean Charest was asking my dad to cross the floor to go back with the conservative. And my dad said, no, I was elected as an independent and I will stay as an independent. And my dad stayed as an independent until the end of that mandate. So if you have convictions, you go with your conviction, but you always must be in line with your people who voted for you. And people voted for my dad as an independent, and he respect that. He did respect that all the time. But what Marilyn did today was, a non-respect of all the people who voted for her during the last election.
It's interesting. I didn't know that about your father. That's another case of people having integrity back in the day, and now we've lost it. Max, I'm going to hit you with here's a tougher question. What's your prediction for what's going to happen in the short term with given this floor crossing? Do you think the Alberta independence is going to go through? Do you think we're going to get rampant hate speech legislation? Well, what's going to happen?
But for the Alberta independence, I believe that they will have that referendum. My understanding is they have until the end of May to have 300,000 signatures. And I've been told that they have more than 250,000 signatures up to now. So they will have the signatures that they need to have a referendum. And that referendum must be or maybe this fall in Alberta. So the question about what will be the position of the People's Party during that referendum, we will be with the yes side, not because we don't believe in this country, because we need to send a strong message in Ottawa to the Conservatives and the Liberals that, it is not working right now. We need bold reform in line with our Constitution, and that's not happening right now. So we will support the yes side, because if the yes side win, they will have three options. The first one, yes, to have a new negotiation with Canada, and that would be fair for Alberta and fair for these other provinces. And that's the option that we prefer. The other option will be to be independent, and maybe the third option is to be the 51st state. So I don't know if the yes side will win that referendum. Maybe not, maybe yes. But in the more support the yes side will have, the more influence they will have in Ottawa to have a better deal. And actually, we will have maybe the same in Quebec, because we'll have a provincial election this fall, actually October 10 in Quebec at the provincial level. And the PQ, the independentist political party, is ahead in the polls right now. And the young, charismatic leader of the PQ is saying, if you vote for the PQ, it's a vote for the independence, and I will have a referendum in my first term. So maybe we'll have another referendum on the secession in 2027, 2028. I don't know. But that's why I was saying, Payment, at the last election, we, the People's Party, we are the only chance to this country, to keep this country united. If our policies are not adopted, I don't see a bright future for Canada. So that's why we are fighting, and we will be there to do the fight that we believe with that strong vision for the country.
Yeah, I've completely lost faith in the Conservative Party, both federally and provincially here in BC. So I agree with you on that. Brian, sort of the same question to you, if you want to speak to Alberta, or if what do you think is what's coming down the pike for Canadians? Like, are we going to see really bad laws?
Well, I'm really worried about C9, and there's a few other ones in there too. Our firearm stuff. Like, we're looking at a Liberal majority government here, and just a quick shout out to the folks running in our by-elections to get out and support them. But as far as Alberta goes, Alberta's been ripped off for so long, and it really makes me wonder. Like, Poilievre's got his seat in Alberta, trying to save face, as far as I'm concerned, but he's against the referendum in an independent Alberta. The thing is that spells trouble for the CPC. Like, they're going in and standing up. He did a sleight of hand type of insult during his Rogan podcast as well, and against the independent movement in Alberta. And I think it was a big mistake. Like, what happens when they get down to brass tacks and the votes are coming in? A lot of those people that are supporting it are CPCers, and they have been in the past. And Poilievre's not going to be for that. So I think we're going to see a really weird dynamic in Alberta when it comes to the Conservatives. And for me, that is almost like a springboard for what I see is going to happen in this country. Because I think people are going to finally realize that you've got to treat your people with respect. Just like today in Sarnia, Lambton, we've seen it. In Sarnia, Lambton, Bkejwanong, we watched the disrespect. They don't care about the people. It's all about power, and it's all about politics. And like Carlin said, we're not in the big club, and that's what we're seeing. And I'm with Max on the Alberta separation. They got to take a stand. They've got to stand up. If not, if they don't win it, at least they're doing it for Canada to flex some muscle against this federal government that wants to, they've got us like as subjects, it seems. And we got to get away from that. The people need to be the boss, and they need to be able to have confidence in the people they elect. And when you're working your butt off out in Alberta and handing all your money to the East, and no one wants to do a damn thing about it, I can see why they want to do it. And like I said, I'm on it with Max. I think they should keep going. Doesn't mean I want Canada separated, but somebody's got to have to notice, and Alberta's doing a good job to get that done.
Yeah.
So I have one final question for you, Max, and this one's an easy one. A lot of people are saying that the narrative forming now is, if Pierre Poilievre can't run his own party, how is he going to run government? They've essentially humiliated Pierre Poilievre. Do you think he can recover from this?
But he has time on his side. Time is everything in politics. Now, Carney will have, with the by-elections that is happening next Monday, I believe that Carney will have his majority. So maybe the next election will be only in 3 years. So that's a lot of time for Poilievre. And we saw that Poilievre tried to change his image. Speaking about Joe Rogan, he did a good job when he was with Joe Rogan, a good job for the mainstream media, because his goal was to look good with the mainstream media, and he did well. He had a very nice coverage with the mainstream media. And so now he's trying to go a little bit to the left. At the last election, he was speaking a little bit like us, like the People's Party. He was able to take 700,000 of our votes to the Conservative, but he was not able to win the election. And so I'm looking right now at him, and he's going to the left. And for us, it's a good news because all these conservatives will tell them, we are the real conservative party in Canada. We are the real people who are fighting for this country with real values in line with our constitution. But for him right now, what he's doing is going a little bit to the center. So the fact that he's losing members of parliament who are crossing the floor, it's not good for him. You're right, absolutely. He's not able to manage his own team. But at the same time, I think that if he's very low in the polls a year before the election, I believe that he won't be the leader of the Conservative Party for the next election. I believe that, people will look at it, okay, Poilievre, you were very right-wing guys, didn't work, and now you try to change to be a little bit more leftist, and you're not able to keep your people alone, you're not able to manage your own party. Maybe something will happen to him in the next 2 or 3 years, and I'm not sure that if Poilievre will be the leader of the Conservative Party at the next election. Yeah.
That's an interesting analysis. I guess I was way off. Thanks, Max. Brian, I guess, do you have any final words for your riding and any message for the voters in your riding?
I just want to say to the voters in my riding and everybody, we've got to take the reins. The people have to do it. We have to stop with believing in the propaganda and pay attention to action, not words. And they'll show you who they are. And the people in my riding, you know me, and you know how I am, and you know that I have principles, and I stick to what I believe, and I've done it for 3 elections, and I'm continuing to do it because Sarnia, Lambton, Bkejwanong deserves to have someone who's going to be loyal to the people that vote for them. And we saw today that it's just a big, and it hurts politics, and it hurts what our system is when we get somebody like Marilyn deciding to just, pick a selfish reason to leave. And I think that's why she did it too. But I'm going to be there, and I'm not going to slow down, and I'm going to keep pushing our policies because they're the right way. And we have the best leader in the country, and that's the bottom line. And we're going to fight, and we're going to get the seat.
Huh. Tony says he's going to vote for you a 4th time. So you got 1 vote locked down.
That's great.
Tony's awesome. Tony's excellent.
Max,
the final words go to you. What is your message for Canada?
We are in a tough time right now, economically, socially, morally, and so we need to go back to our values. We need to go back to our constitution. We need to go back to our roots and fight for what we believe. I understand, and I'm seeing young entrepreneurs who are leaving the country. They're going to the US. It's sad. It's happening. But I'm staying in Canada with you guys, fighting for a better country. We need to end mass immigration. The Liberals are doing a little bit, but it's we need to do more than that. They try to control the international students, but they are not. We still have too many of them. We still have mass immigration. We need to fight for our country, but I'm looking also what's happening in Europe, in UK, in Germany. Populist party over there are winning. And in France, Marine Le Pen, she's very popular also. So that will come to Canada. And we, like I said, and like Brian said, the People's Party will be there when people are ready. And I believe that it may be at the next election because, that tough time is there, but we have a solution to fight them, that we need to have a smaller government. We need to respect individual freedom and go back to the Western civilization values. We are fighting for that for the last 8 years. And, more people will understand that doing politics like that based on principles, you may not win the first time, may not the second time, but we know that our time will come because we are telling the truth. So I'm looking at the future. The time ahead of us can be tougher, but we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it would be a dream to one day break this, uniparty machine, this
Yeah.
left-right nonsense that's destroying the country. Mr. Bernier, Mr. Everaert, thank you very much for your time. And I don't know. Well, we're going to keep going onwards and hope for better days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Payman.
Thank you,
you,
Payman.
Brian. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Max. Bye.
Bye.